Hey guys, welcome to Water is the New Gold. I'm not in my lab coat or usual scenery. I'm in my kitchen. It's something like 12:15, a little bit after midnight. Just got off of a conversation with a friend of mine, and she raised concern about microplastics. And geez, man, it's all over the news. This microplastic, if you haven't heard, but I don't know how you couldn't have heard, but a research team looked at three bottled waters and they found that there's microplastics, submicroscopic beads of plastic that come out of the bottle. And there's a great stink now about this being a health hazard, and let's talk about it a little bit. You know, anytime there's a contamination, the first thing you really need to do is ask yourself, who is telling me that this is a contaminant, that it's harmful? If it's some guy in a university or it's your neighbor, something not quite right with that. A university study, a guy like me can detect something or clean it up and fix it in my case, but you think about it, you see a skin tag, and what do? You want to have it checked out. You don't go to the university, you go to a doctor. And the first thing about microplastics is that nobody is saying whether this stuff is toxic or not. It's in our water, so, we have a knee-jerk reaction. We jump. I don't want to drink plastics. And I don't want to drink plastics, for sure. But until the medical community tells you what the health risk is, we're kind of putting the cart before the horse. That's the first thing. The next thing you have to realize is that as long as we have had a technological society, instrumentation always comes forward that has a greater sensitivity than what was before. And we discover things because the new instrument is more sensitive. So 10 years ago, we didn't have anything to detect microplastics, didn't even know what the heck it was. It's just like our medical care. We started with x-rays, now we have these MRI machines and lab techniques to detect things that weren't there before. So one of the things that's going to happen with water, because it's a universal solvent, and I read one place that said even reverse osmosis is not going to help because the membrane itself is plastic, and that's true. And an important thing to remember is that the water is called the universal solvent for a reason. Given time and enough friction, it will dissolve anything it comes into contact with. So this goes for a filter as well. No matter what the filter is, over time, the friction of water and the action of that dipole molecule is going to dissolve the filter, and you're going to find some type of particles in there. Now, there's different materials that are inert, glass and ceramic. But again, the thing that happens is you set a standard, and then somebody develops a new instrument and it reads something in that water that's not there before. So I'm not poo-pooing the idea we have microplastic contaminants. However, you have to ask yourself 20 years from now, what is instrumentation? What is the lab industry going to discover that we didn't know right now? And it's coming, and it's always going to be that way. But the important thing you have to ask yourself when you're looking at this microplastic story is, who's behind it? Is there money behind it? Well, certainly if you're in the industry of testing for things, if you create an alert and a lot of people start wanting microplastics testing, boy, your lab business starts making money. And if you're a guy that's developing a filter, which happens to be me, I'm developing the first water technology that guarantees safe drinking water. But for a guy like me, you think, wow, there's a new contamination. Let's scare people and let's come up with a filter and claim that we pull it out, even though we don't know it's toxic or not. The only thing I can say to you is educate yourself. Be cognizant of what's going on. Maybe there's a new bottled water company coming out, and a lot of times we find out these things that there's somebody funding research, or they're funding the media, they're funding the story. They're creating a market for themselves through fear. And I'm not saying that's happening with microplastics. No contamination in water is likely to be good contamination, but there's a big picture here with a lot of things going on. And before we jump to conclusions, I think the first thing is the medical community needs to tell us, what is the toxicity? What are they seeing? What is this doing to patients? What are the levels that we can tolerate? Or can we tolerate it all? Is it healthy or not? But just finding something and then going off on this tangent. I mean, let's face it, we've been drinking bottled water for years. I haven't, but this is convenient, and it's hard to knock the convenience of it, especially when you're traveling or your water's polluted. You got to spill in the local community. You have no filtration system in your house. Bottled water is convenient. Ideally, if you want something with no particles in it, you go back to glass bottles. You can sterilize them, but we like our convenience. We don't want heavy things. So the last thing I would tell you is that, at the risk of shameless self-promotion, I wrote a book. It's called Open Tap, Drink Poison. It is the anthology of how to avoid drinking poison water. There's no product recommendations in there. There's a little bit of chemistry, a little bit of biology, and the science that gives you tools to figure out for yourself, when these stories happen, what is the truth. It'll help you get to the bottom of the truth. My book, Open Tap, Drink Poison, is available at Amazon.com. I invite you to subscribe to this channel. I also have a website called Water is the New Gold. I have a blog with a lot of water information. I hope you stay in touch. I hope I hear from you. Give me a call if you want. But here's to everybody drinking safe water.